Since early in the history of white settlement in Australia, Pyrmont was a turbulent, crowded, working-class port suburb. Pay packets were too small, jobs in the factories were dirty, jobs on the wharves were backbreaking, and work was insecure. But in Pyrmont, there were compensations. There was a sense of belonging. Through meeting places such as the pubs, churches, school, parks and sport, the residents carved out a village community atmosphere which exists to this day. Now in its most recent incarnation, the port is moving elsewhere and the old wharf areas are slowly released as the next stage of Pyrmont's history unfolds. Pyrmont is quickly transforming, bringing new buildings and new residents. This is the story of how the community worked with Lend-Lease and the Sydney City Council to change the design of their waterfront park from a geometric, hard-surfaced, ordinary space into an exciting park suitable for active and passive recreation. In any development, there are three essential players: the developer, the council, and at the grassroots of the community, the users.
About 14 years ago, I bought this house. It was a squat, and you could stand in the basement and look at the sky, and all the windows needed replacing. And that's when I realised the children had absolutely, and the people, nowhere to go and sit on a bit of grass. There was not one area. I act as a catalyst. So what I do is I go out and I find the people who are going to be most affected by the development or whatever is proposed in the polls for whatever. And then I inform them of what's going to happen. I want to move the children's playground from here to up here in front of the community centre.
There's kids that live in the area and kids are playing in Bowman Street here, playing cricket in the street. Kids need active space, and they do need active space. And there's none down at Pyrmont Point Park. All the signs are up. You can't have skateboards, you can't have rollerblades, you can't play cricket, you can't play ball.
I'm Rob Deck. I'm the project director here at Jackson's Landing, working for Lend-Lease Development. We really had a situation where we designed the park and we've gone ahead thinking that we've got everybody on board, but we became aware that the community really wasn't happy with all elements of the design that we'd formulated. We made a decision to put the project on hold until such time as we could address some of those concerns. We were very keen to ensure the park was built so that we could show people who were interested in buying those apartments the sort of environment in which they would be able to live. And by delaying the park, clearly that meant that our ability to do that was hampered. And so the risk for us was that we wouldn't be as successful in selling some of those apartments as we would have been had we gone ahead and built the park. There was also a risk that if we built the park in a manner that the community wasn't happy with, we'd have a level of backlash.
How are you? Well, hello, Margaret.
We're of the view that it is important to embrace the community, understand what they want, and try and work out an outcome that satisfies everybody. The most important thing is being able to clearly articulate deficiencies in the proposal and being prepared to compromise. It's important that there is a very clear direction from the community as to what is required or what the deficiencies are, as some sort of starting point for a debate. In this case, the community groups formed themselves into an alliance, and there was a focus and there was a clearly stated objective.
Okay, so this is one team talking?
This is one team talking.
And that community alliance was prepared to negotiate. It wasn't a take it or leave it proposition. We moved and the community representatives moved, and we got a very comfortable resolution.
So we've repositioned that. Are you satisfied with that?
I think that's excellent.
What does the community think about that?
I think the community thinks it's excellent.
They're with us.
And it gives it a lovely bend. And that's really what we did. We had to do a lot of pushing to get a change in Waterfront Park West. And it always often comes down to thumbing through your network and finding someone who's connected in there, plugging into them, asking their advice, persuading them to come on board. But it's all about trust. Well, I can't see the point of having these at all.
Well, no.
Because if they were going to widen the step...
Well, the major problems with the original park, as seen by the community and supported by ourselves as designers, was that the space was broken up with many, many footpaths, lots of hard space, cascading staircases. It wasn't a place where you could kick a football around. It was really for passive recreation, sitting down under a tree.
And what are all these steps dotted around like that?
We came up with a design which was basically a concept. We weren't saying this is what you have to build. This is really a drawn picture of the brief that the community would like. So we went back to Lend-Lease, who looked on in horror because basically they thought they had already an approved park. So we offered that to them. They asked us to resolve a lot of level details and what have you. So we went away and did that over the weekend and fully basically documented it and gave it back to them. I could just say we went backwards and forwards and it became more organic.
Ted gets it.
We had so many meetings with the community and with Ted Harkness, the other architect, and we actually ended up sitting there with the Lend-Lease's designers, with Lend-Lease, with myself and Ted, with tracing paper, and we sat there and drew over it. We then all signed this piece of paper and said, you've witnessed it, this is how we want this sort of curvilinear, organic waterfront. And everyone took a copy of this away, and eventually that was the scheme that came back from Lend-Lease and the architects. Everybody had agreed finally on an organic waterfront.
To have intimacy.
They were engaging, and they didn't have to listen to us. I mean, really, they didn't have to. And they decided that we were going to take on the views of the community. Well, after all, we're really here to talk about two things. Staircase that come at the last minute after the consultation period is over, and we don't want them.
They've just told us that we're going to get these extra stairs and have the corner and the amphitheatre made a thoroughfare, and this is just not.
It's not the time to start making major changes.
The dilemma is the addition of three other matters. Two of them are additional steps down to the. And in fact, they're shown up there on the screen as being two red lines.
Similar design to Hill Park.
Now, as I understand the concern from the community representatives
And the solution is basically that we don't build these steps now, that we can always reevaluate, and if a little goat track does end up developing, or if there are safety issues about people sliding down that thing, then we can build stairs later on.
So really, we should put a condition in that.
John was fantastic in enabling us to voice our opinion and to get us into council and to put the people that we needed to talk to in front of us.
Well, now the last question was the
under the swing.
Yes.
Without him, we couldn't have done it.
Planting, Sam?
Up through the top here and across here. Alright, is everybody ready?
Yes, I am.
You dig a hole right where it should be.
Here?
Yep.
Just check that you're putting the shit in the hole and then you can get it. Everybody, you guys get out! Okay, chuck the dirt on!
I'm going to put it in the